There, we're live. Good morning, everybody. It's Suki Jeffries here. I am a women's empowerment coach through my business called Courage Rises. And I'm very excited to have as my guest Krys Pappius, who is a mindset coach. She is from British Columbia, very close to where my parents grew up and an area that I have spent a lot of time with throughout my life. And I'm really excited to have her here. This Defying Expectations Over 60 is about women over 60 who are living their lives with joy, purpose, and meaning, and doing a lot of exciting things in the years when society really expects them to be slowing down. So I'm one of those women. I started a business at 60. I'm 63 now, and I'd like to introduce you again to Krys. And Krys, tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing.
Well, first of all, thank you, Suki, for having me here. I really appreciate it.
I don't hear you. Oh, that's right.
I am a mindset coach, and I am in British Columbia. My focus is working with midlife women who feel stuck, who look to the future and see nothing but more of the same. And I help them get in touch with what is really important to them and what do they really want in life. And then I help them go and get it.
Right. So you've had a really interesting journey. I'd love to hear about it. I know there's a big transformation in your 50s. So can you tell our watchers a little bit about that?
Sure, love to. So in the early 2000s, I was very late 40s. I was well into my career as a police officer, and people looking at me would say I had it all, good job, steady job, no debt, owned everything, whatever. And as a police officer, what people would see was that my colleagues and I would be running in as everybody else was running out. So, the image is that you're courageous and, you'll deal with whatever. And the truth is that on the inside, things were very different because life terrified me. I was a people pleaser, always afraid of rejection and getting, left on the sidelines. I had no self-esteem. I had no self-confidence, and it really made no sense. But that was my reality. And in 2003 was the moment I had. It was my wake-up call. I was in a very serious car crash at work. I had some significant injuries. And what really struck me was it was one of those crashes where the car remains in motion for what seemed like a long time.
Right.
And rather than thinking about the reality of my situation, that I actually might not survive this, I felt a great deal of sadness as I thought of all the dreams that I'd left on a shelf to collect dust, all the amazing things in life that I had said no to because I was scared of life. And in that moment, I swore to myself that if I survived this, things were going to change. So fast forward, it's now 2005. I'm back at work. And the moment I walked back at work, I was away for 15 months, walked back to work, put on my uniform. And the moment I put it on, I realized I was stepping back into that life that I had sworn to myself was no longer acceptable. So I was reminded of the promise I'd made to myself, and my journey started, and I took workshops and I read books and I went courses and I did all that. And what I found was I got little nuggets here and there, but nothing told me. I was dreaming, but nothing told me how to make my dream my reality. Took a step back. I saw how those nuggets could actually fit together into a process of change and in a process that made sense to me. And when I started implementing that, that's when things really started changing for me. Because I believed at the time, and I realize it now today, I realize it's completely a false belief that I have to do everything by myself.
Oh my gosh. I had that same, it's like I was failing if I had to ask for help.
Yes. Asking for help is a sign of weakness. That's what I believe. And therefore, the transformation was up to me. So I took a lot of wrong turns. I made a lot of mistakes, experienced a lot of heartache and disappointment, but I persisted. And the result is that I finally got the life that I wanted. It's a life that is purpose-based, a life of meaning. I have the confidence that no matter what life throws my way, I can deal with it. I do not, I say it all the time, I don't believe in unicorns and rainbows. I believe life is going to throw things our way. And I
Yeah.
believe that we all have a birthright to feel confident and to feel that we can deal with whatever life throws our way. So fast forward now, I'm 66 years old. My life is simple. Decision making is easy. Either something is in alignment with my purpose and it's a hell yes, or it's not in alignment and it's a hell no. And
Yeah.
if I choose to do something that's not in alignment, I do it eyes wide open, and I know there will be consequences. And I
Mhm.
make that choice. But life is much more choice based now. And honestly, I have no stress. I know that's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe.
Because I've learned that there is no stress is simply the feeling we have when we don't solve our problems.
Yeah, or we're out of alignment with who we really are.
And our body physically tells us
Yeah.
something's wrong.
Yeah, I think that's very true for me. Yeah, I get stress. I don't feel a lot of stress. I get time stress, like, oh, I'm wasting this precious resource that I don't have, I don't have an unlimited supply of. And I'm supposed to be here. I want to honor my commitments, so I get stressed like, oh, I'm running late, that kind of thing. But for the most part, yeah, I don't have stress either. I also feel like I can figure out anything. And the confidence to know that is a big it's a big part of my life. Like I just wrote a book called Courage Rises, and uh, one of the general themes of the book is I had the confidence that I could figure it out whenever I arrived there. But I love the idea of, keep showing up in your life on purpose. I know that I spent a lot of my time. I was a corporate drone for 30 some year, 35 plus years. And I was doing things kind of because that was the next step. And I was sort of venturing out and doing this and that, but not doing it wholeheartedly because of fear. And it shows up in my life as like procrastination or TV binging or something like that. It's like, I'm not going to do that thing because I don't know, doesn't feel right. But when you keep showing up and figure out things as you go, you can do things on purpose. You can build your life on purpose, aligning with your values rather than just doing like, I went to school, I got a job, I retired, I did this.
Well, and the narrative is I went to school, got a job, retired, and then disappeared because I have nothing further to offer. And that, when our life expectancy back in the day was 60 or 65 years and we retired at 60, well, it was true. Our life expectancy wasn't long and whatever. But that's not true anymore. When
Yeah.
we hit 60, we have 20, 30, yes, I may die tomorrow.
Decades.
Look at my family. I could have another 30 years to go. My mother retired at 93.
Oh
She was an academic and she retired at that. And you know what? The flip side of that is the golden nugget here is the society's narrative hasn't changed. We're still expected to disappear, which means if we reject the narrative, we have no socially imposed expectations.
yeah. Yeah, we're free from that.
We get to do it our way. We are given a gift in midlife.
Yes.
A
We are
gift.
given a gift. It's a tremendous opportunity.
It is. It is an opportunity. And when we talk about crisis is simply a turning point. How we deal with that crisis is either going to lead us to disappointment in our midlife. I'm sorry, folks, but the fast cars, the younger partner, the facelifts and all of that, wherever you go, that's where you are.
Yeah, you're always there. Yep.
There. So you can either choose that or you can choose to show up, decide what is important. How do I want to be remembered? What do I want on that tombstone? And how do I want to live my life?
Yeah. And what do I want to be remembered for? Yeah.
Yes. And it's a choice. And you know what? We all have I believe very strongly we all have a purpose, and that purpose is to share our unique gifts with the world for the betterment of all.
Yeah.
We all have gifts. And
We, yeah.
I don't care about the big C-suite people. You don't have to be a C-suite person in order to have a huge impact on the
CIO, CTO, CFO, yeah, all of these, yeah, corporate titles, yeah.
For decades, I volunteered in the schools as a mentor to troubled youth. The impact so many of the janitorial staff had.
Oh yeah.
Students, they cared about the students. They saw students as, you know, human potential and all that. They were amazing. They were janitorial staff that on the pecking order in our society, you know, isn't very high up. Their gifts were incredible. They did more to better the world than many of the C-suite people that I've come across.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. And it doesn't matter your age.
No, age is no object at all. I completely agree. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, when I talk to midlife women, women at or nearing retirement age, you know, some of them say to me, well, I don't have a big goal that I want to reach. And so I talk to them about legacy. Like, do you want better relationships? Do you want more love in your life? Do you want to give back? You know, all of these things. And we have the opportunity to define what something meaningful and purposeful is. It doesn't have to be starting a business and, you know, making money. It can just be showing up on purpose for something that's aligned with your heart.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. When I'm living my purpose, and I'm the person who does this, if I see a homeless person and I buy a meal for them, I'm living my purpose. Working with my clients, I'm living my purpose. The purpose is how you show up. It's not what you do. It's how you show up.
Yeah. You know, in my book, I think it's in the introduction, I talk about how things changed for me when I realized that it wasn't what I did that was important. It's how I was being that was important. You know, I wanted to be joyful, purposeful. I wanted to be excited about life. I wanted to be in integrity with my values. And those are the things that allowed me to become more mission focused and see what was out there that I could make a difference at. And like you said, you know, this retirement age, 65, somebody told me, and this blew my mind, that it was really like the insurance companies that wanted to set like a retirement age because people weren't expected to live past 65. And it was like, you know, I don't have to take care of these people much longer than this, right? Like Social Security in the US, and I think it's social insurance in Canada. It's like it was a certain age because people weren't expected to live much longer than that. And now we have, like you said, decades that we still have, well, I think I'm repeating myself, but we still have an opportunity to make a difference in the world.
Yes, and the research is in. What makes, first of all, it's a myth that people over 60 are depressed. That's a myth. Second of all, the common denominator when the studies have looked at people who are thriving in beyond midlife, the common denominator is purpose.
Yeah.
And your purpose can be going and cuddling, you know, babies in a hospital. Cuddling, that it could be that. It could be running a dog rescue center. It doesn't matter what you do. If your purpose and your heart is there, that's what's going to get you up in the morning.
Yes.
That's what's going to get you up in the morning. And I believe that the people who struggle in retirement are the people who Googled retirement planning and got 35 million hits, all focusing on money.
Finances.
And it's, unless you're looking at holistic retirement planning, you're risking being disappointed in retirement. It's got to be holistic. We have so many of our social and psychological needs are met in the workplace, and we assume that all of those relationships and all of that stuff is portable into retirement. What keeps you connected in the community when you're working is the one thing you have in common, and what you have in common is the work that you're doing.
Yep. And it's your identity. And when you retire, you leave that identity behind, and it's the opportunity to forge a new one.
Yep.
To redefine yourself, transform yourself.
Opportunity, and you have to take that opportunity. Believe me, 20 years in law enforcement, my identity was I was a police officer. That was my identity.
Live the job. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it took, I think it's honest to say that it took me several years to deprogram that.
Yeah.
If I had known now, if I had known 30 years ago, what I know now about living with purpose, my career would have been so different. It would have been so much richer. I didn't like who I became. What changed me, and I didn't like who I became. It was a very me and them, us and them mindset. And I forgot that I am someone who likes who my values are connection, community, giving people a hand up. Right? That's not what my mandate was, and I never knew how to marry who I really was at my core with my mandate. Mandate won out.
Yeah. I too sort of struggled at the end of my career because I have to think about this because I thought that job changed, and in many ways it did. But if I had been living my purpose, I could have lived within that environment in a whole different way. Towards the end of my career, I was applying for different management jobs and that sort of thing, and I wasn't getting them. And it was like the last 10 years of my career is the first time in my life that I hadn't been steadily moving forward. And I believe now that a lot of it is that I was disconnected from who I really was. It's like I was looking for that job and I was trying for that job, but who I was, like in my interview, I wasn't bringing out who I was and what my fundamental being was going to bring, what my strengths were, in terms of who I was.
And so many of us are disconnected from that. It's layer and layer and layer of beliefs. Play this game, and we need to follow society's dictates. And
what if we don't? What's going to happen to us then?
Look at the commercial. Even we're 2022, and I disconnected my cable a long time ago, and I watch YouTube. There's things that's my entertainment, and I look at the commercials, and you know what? Women are not displayed any differently now than they were 20 years ago. Honestly, you got to be gorgeous. You've got to, have a sex appeal. I'm sorry, but I'm not of that world. And
no, not either.
That is a prison. That is a prison.
No. I was just at a week-long women's leadership seminar, and one of the things that they offered us that we all took them up on was no makeup for the week. Like, we didn't get to put on our masks, and every single one of those women was beautiful without it. It's like the real them is just as beautiful as the made up them.
Well, I will be very transparent. I never wear makeup except when I'm on this kind of an event.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It does make a difference on the way you're perceived professionally.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's the fact, and it's unfortunate. I just want to take a moment to focus on something you alluded to, that women often come to me saying that they're the job doesn't cut it anymore. I want a new job. I want to do this, and the thought of and very often there is this narrative in the self-help community world of just do it, just walk away. And I think that's a huge disservice, because so many of us are not in a financial position to just walk away. That's not reality. And what I say to them is, maybe the job has lost its spark. Maybe you have changed. Maybe it's a bit of both. What if, instead of worrying about walking away and blowing up this life you have, that we start doing the inner work to find out who are you and what's important to you. What is your purpose? What is that impact you want to have? And what if you started bringing that
Exactly.
to your current work environment?
If you showed up as that. Mm-hmm.
Would that have an impact on your job satisfaction? And would you still see the only solution as blow that up and walk away?
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, because you're right. A lot of people don't have that option.
No, and it's not fair. It's like, blaming somebody for not taking action. Well, that's great when you're sitting up in an ivory tower, but the reality is, especially coming out of the last few years, our world has been impacted. You're a news hound and you buy into everything you hear. We're, walking into Armageddon, which I don't buy, but that's another conversation. That's not a reasonable expectation.
Yeah, I agree.
But what if you showed up differently?
Exactly. And that's a major opportunity. And I wish, like you said earlier, I wish I'd known that 5, 10, 15 years ago. So, well,
never too late.
It's
never too late.
Never, ever too late.
No.
Yeah, never, ever too late. So, Krys, thank you so much for joining me here today. I love talking to you. I love the energy that you bring to every conversation. And I know that the people who are watching this live cast, or even the replay, and if you're watching on replay, put a hashtag replay in the comments. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and where else? Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So thank you, Krys. I will be asking you for your contact information so we can put it in the comments so people can get a hold of you. And thank you so much for being my friend and for being on this broadcast.
And thank you, Suki, likewise.
Okay. Everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. Oops. I always have trouble with this. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Goodbye, everybody.